What's really going on behind the scenes of the Korean entertainment industry? Why did Jungkook and Jimin, the two brightest stars of BTS, suddenly become the center of a mysterious incident that shook the hearts of fans? And why did Si Hyuk choose to remain silent? Find the answers in this exclusive report that opens the veil of unexpected controversy. No one was ready for this surprise. Not the army, not the media, not even those who have always been behind the scenes supporting BTS's glory. But that morning, news came like thunder in broad daylight. Two of BTS main members, Jungkook and Jimin, were involved in an incident that stunned the entire K-pop industry. Everything seemed to freeze. Then came a name that has been known as a pillar of big hit entertainment, the creator of BTS itself, Si Hyuk. But what was his reaction? Shut up. No statement. No clarification. Only silence is more piercing than 1,000 words. Before proceeding, make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment below about what you think about this incident. Is this the end of the BTS era as we know it? Or is this just the beginning of a greater truth? That morning, the Twitter timeline exploded with the hashtag Protect Jungkook Justice for Jimin Where is Bang PD ***. Following a video that went viral in just over 2 hours since it was first uploaded by an anonymous account on the Korean platform. The video looked blurry, as if it had been secretly recorded, but the faces were irrefutable. It was Jungkook and Park Jimin were in a situation that makes chest tightness. The background voice in the video contains a sharp, tense conversation, and more surprisingly, mentions a familiar name, Si Hyuk. What exactly was that conversation about? Who was the video recorder? And what shook the most? Why did they call treason and systemic manipulation in his sentences? Entertainment reporters, industry observers, even former big hit staff reacted immediately. In an exclusive interview with the former production coordinator, it was stated that for a long time there was an internal tension that was never revealed to the public. He also stated that Jungkook and Jimin are known to be very perfectionists and have a professional attitude. So if they get captured in a moment like that, there must be something big going on behind it. But the public still wondered, ***, why did Si Hyuk choose to be silent? ***, the silence fueled wild speculation. Does this mean he's keeping something? Is this a form of PR strategy, or is he himself under greater pressure? Interestingly, in the 48 hours after the video went viral, HYB shares experienced a significant decline, and market analysis cited internal uncertainty as one of the main causes. But it doesn't stop there. An anonymous letter was sent to one of the major South Korean media, claiming to be an insider at HYB headquarters. In this letter, it is written, Jungkook and Jimin have been trying to talk about injustice in the internal management system. They are tired of being shaped as a product rather than a human being. They want to talk, but every time they try, they are silenced. The video was their last form of resistance. That sentence made the fans' blood boil. Some responded with anger, some cried, some even sent protest trucks to the front of the HYB building. One thing is for sure, the world will never look at the K-pop industry the same way again after this. Another surprise came when Taehyung, BTS's V, suddenly deleted all of his Instagram posts and wrote one story that read, "I'm with you. No matter what happens." Without naming names, but the fans know exactly who he means. Does this mean that there is internal support within the group towards Jungkook and Jimin? Or is this a signal that the divisions are already too deep? And one thing cannot be ignored. Jungkook and Jimin have not yet given an official statement, but their silence felt like a restrained scream. During the last concert in Tokyo, Jungkook was seen holding back tears while singing Still With You, and Jimin, who is usually always smiling, chose to stare blankly at the audience. The situation was further complicated when a contract was leaked to the public, showing a clause that was considered by netizens as inhumane. Many are starting to voice that it is time to change the structure of the K-pop industry that has been too closed and oppressive to their own idols. Netizens were divided. There were those who began to open old wounds, recalling how the idols of previous generations were also subjected to extreme pressure. Some believe this is all just part of a marketing strategy, but the evidence pointing to the dark side of the industry is too strong to ignore. In a live stream session scheduled by the agency a few days later, fans hoped there would be clarification. But when it finally only appeared the HYB logo and the phrase "delay until further notice," disappointment peaked. Now the world is waiting. Will Jungkook and Jimin dare to open their mouths and tell the truth from their side? Will Si Hyuk finally speak up? Or will everything disappear in a silent black fog that is too dense to be illuminated? Of course, everyone has an opinion, but one thing is undeniable. This incident has opened a gap in the solid wall of BTS's image that has always looked perfect. But it is precisely from that gap that the light of truth can sneak in. Asterisk, asterisk, what do you think? Is this the end of BTS as we know it? Or the beginning of a more honest and human awakening? Write your opinion in the comments, share this article with fellow ARMY, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next exclusive update. Asterisk, asterisk, after the explosion of the shocking news, the situation changed dramatically. Not only the Korean media, but the entire global entertainment portal began to highlight one central point: HYBE Corporation. What was once considered the golden home of BTS is now starting to look like a cracked glass tower from the inside. When two of the biggest names in the K-pop world, Jungkook and Jimin, are dragged into this incident, the big question begins to loom. Are they victims of a ruthless entertainment system? Or are they perpetrators in an internal rebellion plan against Si Hyuk's absolute power? The riddle was further complicated when a 3-minute voice recording allegedly leaked from HYBE's internal meeting room circulated. In the recording, there is a male voice that resembles Si Hyuk, speaking in a sharp and pressing tone. He said, "The two boys thought too much about the size of the idol. They forget who raised them." The sentence invites tremendous anger from the public. Do BTS creators really think of Jungkook and Jimin as just products that can be arranged and controlled arbitrarily? This is where the fire starts. Public opinion began to turn around. Not only fans, but also cultural observers began to ask one big thing. Has BTS been just a pawn in HYBE's business game? Are the expressions of freedom, messages of self-love and solidarity they convey just a thin layer of a huge script written by a handful of people playing behind the scenes? And if that's the case, why are the two main members exploding now? What was the trigger? One wild speculation states that the latest exclusive contract that HYBE is offering to BTS members turns out to have a surprising clause. According to an anonymous source claiming to be part of the agency's legal team, the contract contains a clause in which the agency reserves the right to control all forms of digital expression of artists, including social media posts, interviews, even the way they smile and speak in public. Furthermore, it is reported that Jimin and Jungkook refused to sign the contract and tried to propose revisions, but their revision was flatly rejected. Instead of opening a dialogue room, the management called them into a closed-door meeting, which was then followed by what has now become a viral incident. Does that mean their resistance is the last form of long-buried hope? Did 2 of the 7 BTS members finally decide to fight the system that has been restraining them behind the sparkling stage lights? It didn't take long for hashtags such as #FreeJungkookJimin and #HYBEExposed to dominate the world's trends. Fans organized a global petition calling for an open investigation of the agency's internals. Even some human rights activists in Korea began to speak out, voicing that the Korean entertainment industry, which has been praised for its neatness and hard work, is actually harboring a systematic exploitation machine. However, there is one more disturbing fact. Why did the other BTS members choose to be silent? Many fans highlighted RM, the leader who has been known as the group's counterweight. When this incident broke out, he simply posted a photo of the sky and wrote an ambiguous caption, "There is a storm that you can only go through in silence." While Suga was serving in the army, Jeon, who had just returned from the army, smiled at the TV show without making any comment. Jungkook and Jimin disappeared from social media. And is it Si Hyuk? He appeared before the media at a music conference in Japan, but refused to answer any questions about this incident. His gaze was calm, slight smile, but there are no words. Silence that feels like a slap. The wave of tension does not stop. After footage and speculation leaked to the public, the Korean entertainment world turned into a hot stage filled with uncertainty and fear. Not only the army was divided in silence and anger, but also the other idols who had been silent all this time. Some began to voice support covertly. One of the idols of the rival group, who chose to keep his identity a secret, said in a limited interview that many of us can't stand it anymore, but we know that if we open our mouths, we will lose everything. The sentence is not an ordinary statement. It was a time bomb that opened up that it wasn't just Jungkook and Jimin who had been feeling pressured by the system. They may just be the surface of a huge iceberg whose cracks are beginning to show. But the question is now, how many have so far kept their mouths shut for fear of losing popularity, income, even freedom? Meanwhile, HYB again made an unexpected maneuver. They removed several official BTS-related posts from their main site. The BTS category had not appeared on HYB's main page for more than 12 hours, and fans were hysterical. Is this a form of tacit termination of the relationship? Or is it internal pressure to hide something bigger? The world began to smell sabotage, and trust began to crumble. In this silence, the name of a former HYB executive appears who decided to open the vote anonymously through an online forum. He said that since 2022, there have been concerns within the company about too much influence from certain BTS members, especially Jungkook, Jimin, and RM. The three were considered to have too independent thinking and began to shape political and social opinions beyond the control of the company. That is, HYB began to see them no longer as an asset, but as a threat. And as the public has known all along, in the Korean entertainment world, once someone is considered to be endangering the stability of the company's narrative, then the only solution is smooth elimination. Not through blatant dismissal, but through psychological exhaustion, media exile, and image decay slowly. It didn't take long for that assumption to be proven. Korean gossip magazines released a series of old photos of Jungkook and Jimin with narratives that led to negative perceptions. Like there is an attempt to turn the image of the two stars into a selfish rebel figure. Even in a television broadcast that used to greet BTS with praise, now began to sound a different narrative, subtle, but sharp. Maybe the pressure of fame makes them forget themselves. But the fans did not remain silent. They began to uncover evidence that these media outlets had advertising ties to HYB and its affiliates. The more that is uncovered, the more open the big wounds behind the perfection of this industry. HYB was now like a wounded lion, and all her steps began to look like a form of frantic defense. The most shaking happened 2 days ago. An internal HYB document leaked and claimed to be genuine by the whistleblower states that the project to design the post-BTS era has been started since the end of 2021. That is, even when they were still standing at the peak of glory, the company was already preparing a move to leave them. Selling success, then building a new, more manageable generation. It was not just a business betrayal. It was systematic character assassination. And now, when two of BTS's most important members dare to speak out in the form of their silent resistance, they are instead being counterattacked with old strategies that have been overused in the industry: media framing, emotional neglect, and legal threats. What happened to Jungkook and Jimin wasn't just about two artists fighting with their agency. This is a symbol. This was an important moment in which one after another the illusions of the industry began to crumble. Fans are no longer just staring at the sweet faces of their idols. They began to ask, who is really in power? Who controls the narrative? And who is ready to sacrifice whom for the sake of profit? In global community forums, discussions are getting hotter. Some refer to HYB as a modern feudal corporation that disguises power behind management smiles and motivational words. They don't just sell music. They sell control. They pack humans into icons, then create myths. But as soon as the icon began to think for itself, they were exterminated slowly. We are witnessing not an ordinary scandal. This is not just a story about two great artists. This is a new chapter in the history of K-pop, where the line between creator and creation begins to blur. Jungkook and Jimin aren't just fighting for their careers. They're fighting a structure that's too big to take down alone. And is it Si Hyuk? Still silent. Even as the pressure increased, even as the fans began to stage demonstrations online and offline, even as the international media began to question HYB's integrity, it remains calm, keeps smiling, remains a mysterious figure who never really talks, but is always behind every great narrative that builds. Now all eyes are on the next step. Will Jungkook and Jimin make an open statement? Will they break out of HYB and start everything from scratch? Or will they be defeated by pressure? Will the other BTS members end up taking sides or remain part of that deadly silence? One thing is certain, this is not the end. It's not even the middle. This is the first explosion of something much bigger, because when the two biggest names in the K-pop world start to rebel, the world can no longer pretend that everything is fine. The world seems to be ticking slower since this case came out. But behind the scenes, everything is moving fast. Too soon. Movement in the dark. Strategy is built in whispers. and the main performers were still trying to keep their faces clean before the public. But no one believed anymore. The fans who used to cheer for BTS's victory are now starting to ask, is their entire career just a stage show? New issues are popping up. Jungkook reportedly received a legal warning internally for violation of media protocol when he appeared at a charity event that HYBE did not approve of. Jimin has been receiving regular mental therapy for the past months, not because of outside pressure, but because of pressure coming from within. From the boardroom. From the sound of a phone that doesn't stop ringing in the middle of the night. From instructions that force them to smile even if they don't want to. Fans call it the slavery of the modern generation, only it is packed in stage lights in international concerts. The most shocking came from a Japanese media account that used to cover the Korean entertainment world. They released a lengthy investigation report stating that since the beginning of last year, Si Hyuk began to shift strategic focus to international projects where BTS is no longer the main pillar. A statement from HYB's internal sources said that the BTS era will be closed gradually and that the plan was not a secret among the company's elite. Those words burned the hearts of millions of fans. Closed? Gradually? Without talking? Without respect? Without the voice of those who built the HYBE Foundation from scratch. In an internal investor meeting, notes of which were leaked to the public via Dark Korean Forum, it was said that Jungkook and Jimin's image no longer fits the brand's direction. They are considered too independent, too expressive, and too stubborn. One quote that sparked the most controversy stated that idols are not supposed to think too deeply. They just have to be beautiful, follow a script, and sell dreams. The sentence slapped hard. It's not just about two people. It's about how industry treats people as products of mass consumption. This is not just exploitation. It's high-paying bondage, wrapped in fan service and lavish concerts. Of course, HYBE denied all the accusations. They called the news manipulative and unfounded. But how can the public believe it, when their every move feels like an attempt to silence all those who want to talk? The fans demand transparency. But exactly what emerged was a massive promotion for their new boy group, which was released right in the middle of the storm. Many suspect this is a diversion strategy. Use the controversy to drive traffic, shift the public's focus from BTS's internal crisis to the rise of a new generation. And who was most harmed by all this? Jimin and Jungkook. Two figures once hailed as the faces of the future, now silenced with a cold and calculating communication strategy. One former music producer for HYBE, who now works freelance, mentioned in his podcast that Jungkook is the only BTS member who dares to reject a song that doesn't suit his taste. He even once asked for an album delay because he felt the lyrics were dishonest. It makes management unhappy. While Jimin, according to him, has long wanted to explore social themes and trauma in his music. But every time the proposal was submitted, it was rejected. Not according to the image. Not according to the market plan. Not as ordered. And when these two creatives began to speak louder, they were considered too dangerous.